Welcome to Queen 6 News at 5 o'clock. I'm Elizabeth Din.
And I'm Jeff Gianola. Portland's still trying to heal from the scars of violent protests, still struggling to respond effectively to the spread of homeless camps and the piles of trash, and desperately trying to control a record year of crime, death, and gun violence on our streets and neighborhoods.
All month, as you've seen, we have dug deep into these issues, and our series of reports, Is Portland Over?
And tonight we ask this question: is Portland's system of government a big reason why this city can't move forward? Is Portland's city government working when you see this? The heart of our city broken, windows and doorways still boarded up, familiar landmarks gone, public spaces fenced off.
It seems like the city's doing nothing. They wring their hands and occasionally they say, this is terrible, it's not acceptable for Portland. But they don't do anything. They're too busy fighting with one another about whose bureau is going to be taken care of better.
Is Portland working when a homeless problem that was bad is now worse, with tents and camps spreading into neighborhoods?
I don't think I could describe it. My unsatisfaction, lack of response, of lack of accountability, unsafe neighborhoods. We need help.
Is city government working when piles of trash and filth have now become a normal part of our city's landscape?
When I emailed city council, there's no response. None.
And when gun violence exploded across Portland this summer, how did City Hall respond? The Portland City Council canceled 2 of their August meetings because there weren't enough commissioners for a quorum.
And I think it's kind of like almost a blame game. They're afraid to do anything different for fear that, they'll be blamed that it didn't work out. I just don't think this form of government is working for Portland, for this population.
When it comes to how the city is run, urban experts will tell you Portland has one of the most unaccountable, inefficient, outdated forms of government compared to any other major city in the U.S.
I would tell you it's even worse than that. Portland's form of government is inexcusable.
Commissioner Mingus Mapps was elected to serve the people, but says that's hard to do under Portland's commission form of government.
Probably most Portlanders think that we have a mayor and 4 members of city council. But that's not how things really work here in Portland. In Portland, we really have 5 mayors, each in charge of his or her own fiefdom.
Those fiefdoms? The city bureaus, the fire bureau, police, water, parks and rec, housing, environmental services. The list goes on. Each commissioner assigned their collection of bureaus and offices to oversee, responsible for hundreds of employees, multi-million-dollar budgets, labor agreements, strategic plans, and day-to-day operations. It's not a good way to run a city.
We sort of have the worst of both worlds through this commission form of government because we ask people who are running as often as community activists to become managers of enterprises, and they typically don't have that level of experience.
3 years ago in my series, The City That Doesn't Work, Mayor Ted Wheeler was very blunt about why commissioners, including himself, shouldn't be managing city bureaus. That's not why we elected them.
They're not really doing the kinds of things that you want them to be doing at City Hall, which is representing you and speaking for you.
Not speaking for the citizens of Portland is one thing, but Portland city bureaus often don't speak with each other, don't cooperate or share data and information, a recipe for disaster when you're trying to solve some of the city's toughest problems, like the thousands living on our streets.
You can just look around the streets today and see the difficulty we're having with houseless Portlanders. They need a variety of services. The city has several bureaus who are working on that issue, and yet you don't have a single accountable person in charge of solving that problem.
For the last 7 years, Mary Hull Caballero has worked as Portland's city auditor. She says the weakness of Portland's commission form of government has been exposed during the last 2 years as the city faced crisis after crisis.
So right now, there are 3 different commissioners who have a hand in the various bureaus that need to come together to provide public safety for Portland. And if you can't get all of the 3 commissioners on board to push in the same direction, then it really falls down.
And it has fallen down. Just look around Portland. Lack of accountability has taken a toll. Our commission form of government is really a committee.
The city is run by a committee, and it's a committee of 5. And those 5 people often have very different agendas that they're trying to accomplish. And so if you have 5 people in charge, no one's really in charge. And that is where accountability falls down.
Imagine if Portland was divided into geographic districts, each commissioner living in and elected by the people of that district. Your commissioner would know the people and neighborhoods. They would see problems firsthand, go to neighborhood meetings, actually listen and respond and speak for you at City Hall. That's not what's happening now.
Having somebody who doesn't even live in your neighborhood try to speak for your neighborhood, it's kind of absurd in my opinion. To have district representation would make a huge difference.
They talk about what's going on in East Portland, but I don't have the sense that they care.
Take a look at many neighborhoods in East and Southeast Portland, and this is what you'll find. Unimproved gravel roads with giant potholes. Now, neighbors pleased to fix these roads have gone ignored for years. They feel forgotten and that the city simply doesn't care.
We need representation for Southeast Portland. And right now, each one of the commissioners handles, as you know, a bureau. So we don't have any representation.
I've lived all over Portland. I've lived in Portland 47 of the last 51 years. And what's being tolerated in Southeast Portland would not be tolerated in other areas of Portland that I've lived, period. It would not be tolerated.
I would like to see them actually doing something about it and caring, for us, for our safety, and for the safety of our kids that live around there.
Maricruz Factor and her family have repeatedly asked the city for help with this, the homeless camps on their street. On our visit, we found this: tents, makeshift shelters, piles of trash and garbage. But more disturbing, used needles in the middle of the sidewalk where people walk and children play.
My husband has been calling so many times the city to pick up the trash because there's so many rats in our neighborhood. We're trying to control it. We can't because there's just too many trash.
And when commissioners are invited to neighborhood meetings to discuss concerns, they rarely respond or show up.
Frankly, as you get away from the center of the city, as you get out to East Portland, for example, a lot of those folks feel like elected officials just don't understand the challenges they live with. And as a guy who used to work out in Park Rose, I can tell you that that is, I think, largely true. I'm one of the very few African Americans who's ever served on council, so there's that kind of diversity, but an even more rare kind of diversity is having someone on council who lives east of 82nd. And it's about time that we have more folks like that.
And it's not just East Portland. The frustration is echoed in neighborhoods across the city.
It was 2 cars with high caliber ammunition firing at each other and hitting other cars.
Steve Cantor is the former dean of Lewis and Clark Law School. He's showing me the intersection at Northwest 22nd and Hoyt where gunfire erupted last July. Police think rival gang members opened fire, bullets striking cars and nearby homes.
And the police said it was high caliber ammunition which can penetrate metal of cars, could have penetrated somebody's wall and killed somebody, gone through a window.
Police recovered 28 bullet casings. In the days that followed, a neighbor of Steve's wanted someone from City Hall to come to a community meeting.
He started calling the city, saying, I want to get a neighborhood meeting together and I'd like somebody from the mayor's office to show up. And he called them many times, never even got a call back, which is just appalling.
No response, no accountability. In Portland, you don't have a commissioner who directly responds to the problems and concerns you and your neighbors are facing.
Like the attitude from the city seems to be like, we don't care if you leave, because if you leave, somebody from San Francisco is going to come and buy your house anyway, and we're still going to get our tax money from them. So who cares what you think? If you don't like it, then you can go to Montana or Florida or wherever the heck you want to go.
Dismay and a feeling you're on your own when it comes to how the city of Portland operates. Now there's a renewed effort to change all that. For the last several months, the Portland Charter Commission has been meeting, taking public input and ideas. The goal? To put the question of changing Portland's form of government on next November's ballot.
I'm trying to organize people to come together and help push that initiative forward. We need to get organized now so that we can win again in November of 2022.
MAPS has formed a political action committee with lots of community support, raising money to make Portlanders aware of why it's important to vote for change. He's open to whatever ideas on government the Charter Commission proposes, but says district representation is key. Would you like to see council members elected by districts?
I think that's a great idea. You know, one of the things that I hear every day are voices of Portlanders who feel like they're not being heard in City Hall.
City Auditor Mary Ho Caballero agrees the city's commission form of government takes away your voice at City Hall.
It leaves the commissioners in charge really representing the bureaus and the people who work for those bureaus more than the people who live in this town. And I think that that is just a fatal flaw of the way we do business in Portland.
I am convinced that one of the most important things that we can do to turn the city around is to change our form of government. Our commission form of government is just untenable. If we don't change that, our city is going to fail.
Is Portland over? Will we fail when it comes to meeting the challenges of the future, changing the way we run the city? After everything Portland has gone through in the last few years, is there anyone who can honestly say what we're doing now is working? You know, starting in 1917, almost immediately after it was formed, there was an effort to move away from the commission form of government here in Portland. There have been 8 attempts to get rid of it, the most recent in 2007. So why did it fail? Well, think about it. Most people's eyes glaze over when you see a ballot that says city charter. You don't even read it. And all previous attempts focused on efficiency in government. But this effort is way different. It's focused on accountability. And the recent crises that have shown this type of government is really failing the citizens of Portland. So once again, there is a political action committee that's raising money to educate and inform Portlanders about why this is a top priority. The Charter Commission hopes to have it on the November 2022 ballot. So about 1 year from now, we'll see what happens. And it's interesting, Elizabeth, Seattle used to elect their commissioners citywide until 2013. Now they elect them by districts, but they elect 2 city councilors citywide. They kind of oversee, and that's talk about maybe we could do something like that in Portland, you know, but we'll wait and see. But the important thing is we'll be talking much more about this as next November approaches and it's on the ballot.
Yeah, and we know many of you, our viewers, are talking about this. Jeff's piece you just watched, thought-provoking as well. And we're asking tonight, do you support changing our commission form of government here in Portland? Do let us know what you think. We want to hear from you. Email us at isportlandover@coin.com. We will also air some of your comments tomorrow at 5. And if you've missed any of our reports in this series, head over to coin.com right now to catch up.